Let's get an overview now of South Africa's economic outlook for 2019 from Standard Bank Group Chief Economist Goolam Ballim. Goolam, thank you so much for chatting to us. So it's a big year for South Africa. It's an election year. Now, against the backdrop of a strengthening neighbourhood, South Africa has to face the uncertainty of an election and whatever that brings. Do you think that the ANC will retain its majority this year?
I think the ANC will retain its majority this year. Having said that, though, I also suspect that the ANC will fall below the threshold of 60%, which it has been able to garner at all elections since 1994, at least at a national level. These elections are also quite significant for several reasons, including the very strong possibility that the opposition is likely to ascend. But all in, our central tendency is that the ANC at national level will be able to continue to garner the majority outcome. There will be deep and fiery contestation with Gauteng, but there are risks, numerous risks in fact. So the ANC, by our estimates, lost about 3 million votes at the last local elections, where we think individuals disenchanted with the party chose to abstain, not necessarily cross the road and vote for an opposition party. And it is going to be up to the ANC to be able to rekindle that historical affection for the party. But beyond that 3 million votes that, as I suggested, abstained, the youth vote is also going to be a significant determinant in the forthcoming elections, to the extent that the so-called born frees now account for roughly 1/5 of the total electorate, up threefold since the last national general election. And in that respect, it does appear that the median supporter of the economic freedom fighters is more youthful, sub 30, whereas the median age of an ANC and even Democratic Alliance supporter is closer to 40 years of age. So it does appear that the momentum in terms of youth participation will favor the EFF, drawn to the party by its fiery rhetoric, its imagery, as well as its more disruptive mold.
So looking at the economy then, do you think it will largely then be swayed by the ebb and flow of what's happening with elections and the subsequent results?
The economy will probably represent a tale of two halves, to the extent that during the first half of 2019, economic activity will be dull. There will be this wait-and-see approach, especially given the pivotal and probably binary nature of the outcome's impact on the economy. So we anticipate sub 1% growth during the first half of 2019. And as I suggest, a binary outcome where either we are going to get an outcome that is market-friendly or an outcome where the markets judge the potential for policy gridlock, where the market may see the potential for coalitions as limiting President Cyril Ramaphosa's hand for more sweeping reform thrust. And in that instance, we think that the economy will probably cling to the malaise that has been with us for several years now.
We've seen the rand strengthening early on this year. Do we expect that appreciation to continue?
The rand has shown advance in the opening weeks of 2019, and favorably, it's still weak. It's weak by a variety of technical measures, whether it's purchasing power parity or compared to where other commodity currencies are anchored. However, this risk premium that remains embedded in the rand is likely to linger through the first half of this year, and rightly so, to the extent that the risk of a sovereign credit rating downgrade still hangs heavily over South Africa, and the elections can deliver outcomes that are either a tonic and cause the economy to ascend progressively over the coming years, or remain locked in an environment of stasis. So really, the rand will be intimately tied to economic prospects, confidence, and we think current levels near 14 rand will probably be the mainstay during the first half of this year. And if we get a market-cheering political outcome, you could easily see the currency career to, say, 12 rand and 50 cents. However, to the extent that I think South Africa is not ready for coalitions at a national level, if that were the outcome, of course, underpinned by the ANC falling below 50% at the national level, then I fear we could see sizable rot in the currency.
Finally, Goolam, the South African Reserve Bank raised the benchmark interest rate for the first time in 2 years in November.
Right.
Should borrowers be fearful of more increases this year?
Nikki, we're notwithstanding the tightening in monetary policy late last year, I suspect the Reserve Bank will sit pat during 2019. Inflation is not really threatening. We estimate that inflation will be anchored around 5% over the next 2 years. Well-behaved fuel prices combined with very slow growth in food inflation is to some degree containing of electricity price pressures and also other administrative price dynamics. So all in, we think that the Reserve Bank will look favorably upon this benign inflation path and also balance that against an economy that continues to perform below trend and certainly in terms of socioeconomic demands at a subpar level. So we think that will probably be the path for rates during the course of this year.
Goolam, thank you so much. So it'll be a tale of two halves. That's the view of Standard Bank Group Chief Economist giving us his view on South Africa's economic outlook.